Hello to all my story lovers. Welcome back in Storytime channel. Today's story name is When the Mob Count Did Not Tally. This is taken from the book Wise and Otherwise, written by the great Sudha Murty. Here, Sudha Murty shares her experience in the life. Now let's go to the story. My father was a doctor and a very popular professor of obstetrics and gynecology. He would never bore his class with long lecture. Every now and then he would tell his students stories, usually real life incidents. In order to liven up his lectures, as a result, his classes were well attended and lively. I once asked him, "Why do you tell so many stories in a medical class? Don't you know why the Panchatantra was written?" he asked in reply. "But the Panchatantra is not relevant," I insisted. "It's for young school going children, not for medical students." My father didn't agree. "If I use stories, then it's easy for my students to understand. Moreover, one cannot hold a student's attention for more than 45 minutes at a stretch, even if the lecture is interesting. So, if I add stories, I can stretch their concentration span for up to 2 hours." The following was one of his stories. My father says that incident actually took place in England. The operation theatre is popularly called OT among medical professionals. An OT nurse is considered a very responsible and powerful person in a hospital. She is highly respected by doctors and surgeons. Normally, only senior and experienced nurses are given the post of an OT nurse. Once, a very popular and a senior surgeon was operating on a patient. It happened that the regular OT nurse was on leave that day. The nurse who was posted to the OT in her place was a young girl of 22. She was a greenhorn just out of nursing school, but smart and good at her work. Before starting an operation, the nurse in charge usually counts the cotton mobs. A mob is a piece of sterilized cotton gauze. At the end of the operation, she counts the used and unused mobs and totals them. This figure should tally with the number of mobs counted at the start of the surgery. This procedure is followed strictly to prevent the possibility of a mob getting left behind in patient's body through oversight. The operation was successful and the surgeon was about to sew up and close the abdomen. In keeping with the routine, he asked the OT nurse, "Sister, is the mob count okay? If it is fine, give me the needle and catgut." The young nurse counted the mobs and said, "Sorry, doctor, the count is not okay. There is difference of one mob." The surgeon started searching inside the abdomen. He found no mob. "No, sister, there's nothing inside," he told her. The nurse searched the OT, but she too could not find the missing mob. She was quite concerned. If the mob count did not tally, the surgeon could not stitch up the patient's abdomen. The surgeon was concerned too. He insisted that if the missing mob was not found, then there must have been an error in the initial count. But the sister was very confident of her count and was quite firm that she had not gone wrong. The surgeon became impatient and said, "Let's not waste any more time. Give me the needle and catgut. But the sister would not agree. Politely but firmly, she said, "No, sir. Unless I find that missing mop, I cannot give you the needle and catgut." The surgeon contained his rising anger and searched the abdomen once again. Finally, he said in a sharp voice, "I am the senior person here and I am also responsible. Now I order you to give me the needle and catgut." The nurse was in the lima, but she did not change her stance. The surgeon was really angry by now. "If you do not obey my instruction, I will dismiss you after the operation," he warned. Now the nurse was worried. She was the eldest in her family and the only earning member. It would be terrible if she were to lose her job. She was fully aware of her precarious positions. But still, she stuck to what she thought was correct. "Sorry, sir, I cannot give you the needle and catgut." It was an impossible situation. The inexperienced nurse's apparent defiance had the surgeon fuming. He was so upset that he did not know what to do. He looked down in frustration. To his amazement, he saw the blood-soaked cotton mop lying on the OT floor like a wounded soldier on the battlefield. He was so relieved that the problem had been sorted out. "Hey, the mop is here!" he exclaimed. "Now the count is complete. Give me the..." Before he could complete the sentence, the needle and catgut were in his hands. After everything was over, the surgeon called the young nurse aside and expressed his appreciation. He told her, "I am sorry that I put extra pressure on you, sister. However, I am curious to know whether you were scared when I threatened to dismiss you. Did you not believe me when I told you that I was responsible for what happened? Under all this pressure, how could you stand your ground?" She said hesitantly, "Sir, I merely obey the principle taught to me by my teacher. If the mop count is not correct, then the needle and catgut should not be given to the surgeon. When experienced teachers say something, then they must have their reasons. I just follow my teacher's words." The surgeon was wonderstruck and immensely pleased. At the end of the story, my father would say, "Each patient is precious. Be careful. If the patient dies, it is just one more hospital death for the doctor, but for the unfortunate family, it is a permanent loss."